A lot of talk about how young the Bombers are. You've done some analysis.
Yeah, first of all, injuries continue to mount up across the competition, which is a shame. But yeah, it's interesting looking at these two teams because there was a lot made out of Essendon's age profile last week, and it was sort of doing the rounds that they were the second youngest team. But when you actually look at this side, they're not actually that young. The reason why their age profile was so low is they only have two players older than 28 in the team, in Dylan Shield and Zach Merritt. But really, they've got four guys that are 21 and under in this side, and they've got two mature age players that are playing their first and second game. We know about Tom Edwards and the new guy. But they've got 16 players in the sweet spot between their 5th and 12th season that should be in the prime of their career. Now, some of them haven't played a lot of footy, Zach Reid and Nick Bryan, but they've done 5 pre-seasons. They've been in the system for a long time. You're probably expecting more of them. So they're not actually that young. And you compare it to this Port Adelaide side who have got 6 players, 21 and under, in the team this weekend, and another 2 guys in Joe Richards and Sin that have played 12 and 11 games in this side. So it's actually a like for like. In fact, Port Adelaide have got more younger players in the team. Now, their age profile will say they're older because of Boak and Ollie Wines and more veterans, but Port Adelaide are actually going to have more younger players playing. So this is a real opportunity for Essendon under the lid Marvel Stadium to go up against another team that have got young players and prove that they can win and play better footy.
What are your thoughts, King?
I find that conversation fascinating, especially when you're talking about the direction of your footy club and the decisions you're making at the completion of the season. Ben Hobbs is a name I can't get away from. When the team sheets come out, I look at it and I say, Ben Hobbs, what doesn't he play where he's drafted to play? He's drafted midfield? To play midfield at centre bounce clearances. He's played just short of 50 games in 4 years. So I look at Sam Mitchell's approach when he got to Hawthorn. And the space of 12 months, 22 to 23, Will Day went from 24 centre bounce attendance to 365. Nash went from 250 to 440 the next year. Warple 150 to 420.
Yeah.
Hey, there are the keys, boys.
In the guts.
Go and get us started. Go and play where you pick to play. Cam McKenzie in his first year, 80 opportunities. Josh Ward he still had 90 opportunities in his second year. Hobbs has been in 3 times.
Yeah.
So how do you know what you got? How do you know what this player can do? Is he stagnating because you're playing him at half forward? Give him the keys. Trust him. Say, hey, mate, you're going to play in there for a month. Go and show us what you can do. And you might just find out. I mean, Jordan Dawson's at the Adelaide Crows. Sydney never really played him in the middle. Yep. They didn't really expose all that talent to multiple opportunities or multiple roles. But give this kid a chance where he's picked to play.
Well, if they're rebuilding, as has been the discussion over the past 48 hours, then you're saying as a high draft pick, he's got to have that exposure. No doubt about that. Strong start, boys. What's your first crack, Kingy?
Well, gaps in footy between winning and losing, we talk about week on week. But in terms of how you play, I'm looking at the Bombers behind the ball. Everyone's had their say on Essendon's defence over the last couple of weeks, and it's poor. And I think one of the reasons why it's poor is because it's isolated 6 one-on-ones. It's not really 6v6. With the good backlines are 6v6 with wingman assistance. So if you just watch this play, everyone's guarding their man or trying to defeat their man, but no one's helping anyone. It's just 6 one-on-ones. And I think, how does that happen? So that I'll go and have a closer look and just see what the communication's like. Who's barking instructions? Hey, you got him, you right, you settle, come off him a bit, you stand in front, you stand behind. Look at this. Everyone is just looking after their own backyard and they leave an Adelaide Crow player free, 40 from goal, because no one is concentrating on how the 6 look.
Is that the modern defence? Is that how they should be defending?
No, not like that. They should have a sliding wingman or a half-forward assistance. Someone should... You can have your spare man in the goal square, that's fine. Yep. He's your wingman. But you need to cover that guy. So I just don't think anyone's got their head on a swivel, and that doesn't take talent. That's something that needs to be corrected. So I hope it's Jordan Ridley who comes back into the team this week that has that capability. But the guys that have played, 100 games, 200 games, they should be the ones that are saying, hey, I've got control of this.
Interesting last night, AFL 360, Zach Merritt was excellent, but he spoke that he's going to go and play at half-back, probably for that reason, to be able to be the leader and organise. Even the guys like McGrath, Shield need to take more responsibility, but maybe it's Zach Merritt that goes behind the ball and helps spark those orders to just tighten it up.
It should be Redmond.
Yeah, that's right, it should be these guys.
It should be the key post players who are invested in that.
We've seen that at Collingwood at key moments with Scott Pendlebury, Marshalls and organisers back there. What about the flip side of the coin, the Adelaide firepower?
Oh, this is probably my first crack for the night. I'm in love with what they're doing forward of the ball, and it is a little bit different. We talk a lot about can you coexist as 3 tall forwards in that one forward line, and I think you can. And when you see how they play, I think their separation is something that the coaching staff have clearly put a lot of effort and a lot of time into. And when you see it, you can't stop seeing it. So that they very rarely are they in the same forward line trapped together? So this is probably 5 minutes a quarter where those three guys will be forward of the ball. Thilthorpe does some ruck work. Curtin comes in there as well. They've got time on the pine. So the rotations are involving those guys and the ruckman. But just look at the separation here. So Thilthorpe knows that Fogarty's got his man beaten here, and all he does is just hold his defender off. Doesn't allow him to come in and be third man in. Now, the team get the goal. We don't even see Riley Thilthorpe on a stat sheet anywhere, but you go, well done. That is chemistry. That is team first at all times. I love watching this, Joey, because this is the communication flip side of the coin, if you like. So the Crows are, hey, you're there, yep. If it comes out, it's you.
That's the scanning you talk about.
That's the scanning, and that's just being organised. So they set up the triangle, which is not uncommon. This is a standard sort of setup. Thilthorpe's in the ruck, but he's in the ruck looking to get forward because that's just how they want to play, proactive. But just have a look at the chemistry again. And it's I think, one of the reasons why you never see them fly against each other. You never see them compete. And they all get their turn or their time in the sun. So Thilthorpe comes back, hits back up. Fogarty's just trying to keep his man engaged. Curtin is just trying to keep his man engaged. Walker knows that he's got to hit up from there. And then Fogarty slides in behind. It's just perfect. And, Joey, they haven't really played a lot yet. And they may not for the next couple of weeks. We may not get a guide on exactly what they are. But when you look at the names over the last... So the first 6 weeks of last year, these are the guys that played 50% of game time plus in the forward line. Pedler, Gallant, Burgess, McHenry, Murphy and Cook. Well, they've had a class shift, haven't they? They've now got Fogarty, Walker, Neil Bullen, Keys, Thilthorpe, Curtin, Rankin and Rochelle with a little bit of Saligo and a little bit of Dawson. It's a complete shift that's going to go crazy.
Yeah, the synergy, it's great vision. The chemistry is so important. And they've got guys that, like, Fogarty's in the leadership group now. Like, he's a leader at that footy club. We know about Tech's footy smarts. So for them to be able to work together, understand each other's strengths and where to go, we've spoken about it. It's going to be a potent threat that not many other teams in the competition have that's going to take them a long way. Point of difference, it's the key.
Yeah. There's some real marking power there, and we've seen him hit the scoreboard heavily over the first 2 rounds. What's your first crack, Joey, having a look at the kennel? Yeah,
look at the Western Bulldogs, and I just marvel at Luke Beveridge and his ability to continue to play the right hand despite whatever deck of cards he gets dealt, because he's been through a transition. He's transition players, and there's been a lot of talk about that. He's now banged up with injuries, missing Treloar and Bontempelli, Cody Waitman, Liam Jones, etc. But I marvel that he continues to find a way to maximise the talent and to find the ceiling of his group, which I think is a great strength of his and a great credit to him that you can never discount the Western Bulldogs. And when you look at their form line, maybe that win against the Kangaroos was better than we gave them credit for initially after what the Kangas did. They were desperately unlucky against Collingwood, and we love some of the moves. So we've spoken about Rory Lobb and that decision last year to move. He's now a top 10 key defender in the competition. Harvey Gallagher, a player now, a young player with some leg speed, has gone and played as a small defender. Looks terrific. But there's a couple of moves that I just want to touch on that I think are making a big difference. And one of them was at start of last year, but Ed Richards' ability now to become a number 1 on-baller is incredible, because these are the ratings so far this year. He's attended more centre bounce percentage than any other player in the comp. Now, last year, he only played 8 games as essentially a full-time midfielder. He played a lot in there as a rotation through the half forward and a little bit of half back. But the first 2 games this year, it's only his 9th and 10th game as a genuine inside mid. And what he is doing, he's just outside the top 10 mids in the competition, Kingy, since the start of last year. Like, he is a real threat, and it's a point of difference. So no Bontempelli, no problems. No Treloar, hey, we're going to give the keys to this guy. Now, he's lucky he's still got Libba running shotgun with him, still playing at a really high level, but he's third in the competition for score involvements. Everything he's doing is forward of the ball. He's that mid that works hard and gets forward. So he started in the centre clearance here. He pushes forward. He's tough. He's got good skills. And I'm really enjoying the way that he's going, and was a big reason why I think the Dogs can continue to win games this year. And it was a big part of the push for their season last year towards the back end of the season.
And a contract year, Joey, so he's going to get paid.
There'll be a lot of clubs keeping an eye on him.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt it's going to be a big contract.